What if you could grow more bushels without spending more money per acre? That's exactly what we want to show you at A Better Way to Farm Field Days. You'll walk the field, see the results, and learn what you could be doing differently on your own farm. If you're looking for a way to lower your cost per bushel and put more money in your pocket, come see it for yourself. We're going to be in Gilmore City, Iowa, August 22nd, Castelia, Iowa, August 22nd, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, August 29th, Chamberlain, South Dakota, September 1st, Mason City, Iowa, September 2nd, Stewart, Minnesota, September 3rd, Martville, New York, September 11th, Dakota, Minnesota, September 12th, Charlotte, Michigan, September 12th, and Kingsville, Ohio, September 17th. We look forward to seeing you there.
Farmers today are facing rising costs, volatile markets, and extreme weather. The Better Way to Farm podcast digs into strategies to help you take control of farm inputs and maximize profit so your farm can thrive for generations. Remember to take advantage of our free resources at abetterwaytofarm.com. Now, from America's Heartland, here's your host.
Hello, guys. Welcome to today's episode. I am very, very lucky because the very first person that is going to help me with this is my youngest daughter. I have the pleasure of working with her, have had since the day she was born. It feels like she's basically started working from day one and have always been very much an ambitious type individual. So I would like to say welcome to the call, Kayla Livesey, and not Livesey for long. You've got a wedding coming up soon.
Yes, we are T-minus 23 days. So you'll have that intro for a few days longer here.
We'll have to do two more of these really quick if we're going to do that. Then I'll have to remember your last name. So that's kind of exciting too. Kayla, briefly, talk a little bit. What's your very first thing you remember about like doing from the business standpoint of working with A Better Way to Farm?
Oh, it has to be the machine.
Okay. When you say machine, I'm sure everybody's thinking tractor, combine. You're not talking about that. You're not talking about a deal that cuts gears or a lathe for tool and die man. Talk to us about your machine.
Yes, my machine was not any of the things you mentioned, although I can remember a few times around the farm where you said, hey, don't tell mom that you're about to drive this, and then we had some instructions. So there's some of those machines as well. No, but the particular instance I'm remembering here was a story we just shared with all of our dealers when we got together last week with our dealer network for our annual sales meeting. But the machine was what I called myself when you were exploiting child labor when I was the ripe age of 4 years old. And we had to do mailers. We got to do mailers for stuff events you were doing, maybe field days, maybe local regional dinner meetings. But anyway, nonetheless, the machine was me and some of my siblings and my great grandma all sitting around the dining room table at Grandma and Grandpa's house putting the mailers together. Someone had to fold the paper. Someone had to stuff the envelopes. Someone had to put the return stamp on. Someone had to put the postage stamp on. And my part in the machine was using a damp rag to seal all of the envelopes shut, because I eventually got to a point where I revolted on you if I would have had to keep licking them all shut. So I got promoted to have a wash rag, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That was when you'd hit the big time. What was your next promotion? Did you get up to the point where you could do postage stamps and get them straight and square?
No, I would put the postage stamps on the back, and I could not read or write at this point, so that was out on addressing the envelopes. But I did my job proudly.
So let's go this way, entertaining story, but what did you learn from that? How has that impacted you over the last 20 years?
I think it's really given me an appreciation for how to get the team to work together, because I can remember, that might not objectively sound like something that a 4-year-old would find fun, but I look back on those experiences and those memories so fondly, and I always looked forward to getting to do that with anticipation, because I loved that we all got to do it together and we accomplished something, and I knew why what we were doing mattered and was important. And now that I have the opportunity to help lead our team of dealers with you, I see how that's such a valuable leadership lesson, and being able to really bring people together and show them that they're not just sealing envelopes with a wash rag, but they're actually doing something that makes a difference.
And I think that the thing that sometimes we lose sight of in our farming operations is that there's really not an insignificant job. While, like you said, you were just sealing envelopes with a wash rag, but there are people who came out of those mailings who are still being helped today, whose lives are infinitely better because of that. And I think we don't want to lose sight of the fact that there aren't insignificant jobs. They've all got to be done. They all play a role, and they're all really, really important. As you went on up, fast forward, hit another milestone, moving on from licking the envelopes to what was the next thing maybe that comes to mind in your memories?
I can remember really doing a lot of events, field days, sweating my butt off, wondering why it was so hot and why we had to do this. But really making, again, a lot of really fond memories. And I think back to those people where we went and did those field days. And those are people that are coming to my wedding in a couple weeks, because it really has been my entire life of forming relationships to the point where those clients that we were doing field days for are significantly more than clients now. And to look back and see these are the people that watched me grow up. They've been such a big part of my life, and to feel like we have got to also help them in return and invest into their farming operation and their family. You know, some of those clients now, the next generation is who I'm talking to on a daily basis about their operation and how we can plan for the future and how we can help them reach their next goal. And I just consider that to be so much fun, looking back on what seemed like running around at field days, or, oh my goodness, why do I have to peel all these peaches to make this pie? What is going on right now? But just looking back so fondly at all of those things and how those relationships have really strengthened.
Yeah, and it's funny how it goes full circle. There's really nothing better than going and setting up at a field day, and then you go change clothes and it's time for it to start, but the sweat's still running down the small of your back, and you're just hot, and and you slap a smile on and you go and you do the best job you can. Or my personal favorite, I remember one year we were out at, I'm Preston and Lynette, I'm sure who you're talking about there, and we were out at their field day. I don't think you were there for this one, but it absolutely poured. I mean, it just cut loose and poured. And when you're standing and you go to a building somewhere, but by the time you get to the building, the water has already ran down your legs. It's into your boots. And every time you take a step, it goes squish, squish. And I don't know if you're a part of that or not, but then I got to go full circle because I went and did a field day for you down close to Mexico, Missouri. And when we got to the meeting room and people said, why don't you take your shoes off? It's like, because if I do, I'll never get them back on. And so you and I can remember specifically going out into the parking lot 3 years ago, I think, 2 years ago, and taking my boots off and dumping the water out.
Dumping the water out.
Yeah, dumping the water out and driving home barefoot. So I guess I got to lick the envelopes for you, I guess, a little bit later down the road.
Full circle moment there.
Full circle moment. It's true. Let's talk a little bit about, it's no secret, I openly tell people that it does take a whole team of us to do this. And we have great people. We just finished up. How many people did we have in town for our kickoff the other day?
Probably 85.
Awesome. And we have great people who comprise the team. And about 50 of them came out here the night before for supper at our offices in our house. And about 50 of them came out here. Well, that was fun. We had a taco truck, and I think everyone surely enjoyed that. And, I tell everyone I couldn't do this without your mom and your sister, Karen. And, I think the taco truck was kind of a thank you to Karen. That was her lifelong dream to have a taco truck. And
we have a new lifelong dream. The new lifelong dream is permanent taco truck at the office every single day. So now we have a new goal to shoot for.
Okay. Well, I didn't realize that. And we're making some plans here and doing some things maybe towards an office. We'll talk more about that later. But, it's interesting because Mom runs a lot of facts and figures and does an awful lot of things here in the office to make the meetings go better, to let us give good information, let us to direct people. I handle a lot of the agronomy, but you're doing very well at that. You've come on in the last 5 years and become very strong in that. I'm very proud of what you're doing. Karen runs the social media. Can you imagine what life would be like without Karen?
No, I don't want to think about it.
I can't wait to do one of these with her and hear what she has to say. And then maybe I can get you both on, for then you guys can share some stories about me or something. But as frightening as that might be. And on your side of things, sis, what I really appreciate is the fact that you run the trainings. I'm going to brag on you for just a little bit. Graduated from high school, went to college, got your bachelor's degree in 3 years because you've always been a worker since the day you were born. Said, hey, I'll go back for a fourth year and get an MBA, got a master's in business administration. And then you turned around and said, hey, I'm here and I think I can also get a master's in leadership. And so you picked up 2 master's degrees that fourth year in college. How has that particularly impacted what you do and our team?
With the formal education specifically?
Yeah, particularly the master's in leadership, I think. Well, the whole education, but particularly the master's in leadership.
I mean, there were a lot of different things from undergrad and from graduate school. Undergrad, I really got to learn about a lot of different things. So formal education is everything to hang your hat on, but I just pursued things that I was interested in. So I got a minor in graphic design and a minor in marketing, and my major was ag business. So I was taking local econ and learning about the economy of the county that I live in, and I was taking graphic design classes to learn how to design websites, and I was taking marketing classes talking about how short form video content is changing the way consumers purchase products. And so it was across a wide variety of areas, which I loved. I loved learning about those things. I think it's allowed me to help our dealers better, because when someone says, "Hey, Kayla, what do you do?" I say I get to help farmers start and scale ag retail businesses. Essentially, that's what I would say in layman's terms for someone who's not really into the farming world. And I think I'm better equipped to be able to do that because I learned about marketing. So I can get someone started and point them in the direction they need to go for marketing. And I can give them feedback on a website or a flyer for a meeting that they're doing, or I can help them design a slide deck across, multiple different mediums there. And I can talk to them about, the marketing aspect in particular of how to market themselves, how to market their business. And so I think that really helped me understand a variety of different functions in business. And then I just kept going because I absolutely loved learning. As much as there were some times in my MBA that I was, man, I never want to be an accountant. Why I'm taking a 500 level accounting class. This is painful. But it really helped me understand so many different areas of operations and business. And then I could just put all of those things together with a little bit of leadership on top. And I get to help people with their businesses now. And I think I just have the coolest job ever.
That's cool. I want to give a shout out to our alma mater. You and myself and Karen all went to Culver Stockton. I graduated a long time ago in 1980 with a degree in business administration and economics. Karen went. She's a little bit older than you. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in business. And then you graduated with your master's in what year? That all gets fuzzy for me.
24.
24. And so it's been interesting. But I think one of the things I love about Culver is, and if you're out there and you're trying to figure out what to do, where your kid wants to go, if a big school is for you, that's fine. But if a small school is for you, you might consider Culver Stockton, Canton, Missouri, because especially in business, I love the fact that to teach there, all of the professors have to either have a business or have had a successful business. And so a lot of my friends went to school, and we still see kids going to school, and they're studying from somebody who, they got all the theory and they know all the books, right? But they have never done it. And when you go down there, you get people who've done hands-on things. And I just think about, my Professor Predmore, who was my lead guy, Mrs. McReynolds, who was very influential in my life and owned multiple businesses. I think about, Kim, all the different ones who worked with you and worked with Karen. And it wasn't a great experience. Anything you'd add to that?
Let me tell you about my very first college class I ever went to. 8 a.m. Monday morning, Econ 101. Just whoever made that plan, I think, is pretty cruel. But anyway, that's where I am. 8 a.m. Monday morning, first ever college class. And the professor walks in, Dr. Osborne. He was fantastic. Learned so much from him. And he said, guys, introduce yourselves. So people are going around introducing themselves, and you're supposed to say, who you were, where you were from, why you were there. It's a bunch of freshmen in this class, basically. And the person right beside me goes, my name is so-and-so, Bob, and I'm here to play football. And they kind of had just been rolling really, really fast. And the professor cut me off before I could go next to introduce myself. And he said, this is a good time for me to just tell you guys this. I have bought and sold businesses. I was very successful in business. I could have retired a long time ago. I'm not here because I need to be. I'm here because I want to be. If you are not also here because you want to be here, my class is not for you. I will not want to be a professor that you have.
Did that kid leave?
It was a little tense after that. He did not get up and leave, but he did change his tune. We had a newfound enthusiasm for econ at 8 a.m. But that really was the attitude of the professors. If you were there and you wanted to learn, they would give you every single thing that they could. They would give you, amazing connections and practical experience and lots of valuable wisdom from their days in business. But if you didn't want to be there, they weren't going to force you. And I loved that environment. It was just so encouraging to get to learn from all the years and years and years of experience. I mean, combined decades of experience in the business department. So it was a great experience.
That's interesting. My very first class as a freshman there was an 8 a.m. accounting class. They do have a certain sadistic vein to them, I think.
Yes, I suppose.
Going into econ or accounting at 8 o'clock on your very first day. I don't know how I would have started that, but that might not have been it in retrospect. I don't know. It was good. But I want to go back. We're going to do this again. And we're going to get into some of the day-to-day, talk about what you do. We're going to get Karen on, talk about what Karen does on a day-to-day basis. But I want to go back and spend the rest of our time here drilling down on something. I love what you said. You help farmers start and scale ag businesses. In today's economy, I was reading something today. I do a lot of reading, and I was reading something, and it was 5 different stories of people who had figured out how to bring the next generation back. Like one farming operation I read about had 4 kids, but they only had enough of an operation for 2. And so they diversified. They went into some agritourism and put up a barn for weddings. And I got to be honest, dealing with a bunch of diva brides, that's probably, I don't foresee that in our future. I don't see a wedding venue.
You only want to deal with your own diva bride, right? Your
Correct.
Wonderful daughter who's a bride.
I've done 2 of those. I have 1 more, and then I'm out. Okay. And so that's where we're going to pull the pin and unhook that deal. But no, that's not true. I've got great kids, and all of you have been very responsible. But nonetheless, I want to go back because these guys were all struggling, trying to start scale a business. And what would you say to that family that's got 3 kids but only got room for 1? Tell me how you can come in and impact that. What can we do at a better way to farm? This was not my plan. I think a lot of these are going to be conversational, Kayla, and they're just going to take off down rabbit holes. But talk to me about what you would say to someone. They got two boys in college. They had the oldest one came back home. They got a daughter and a son in college, and they want to come back home, but there just isn't enough cash. How do you address that? What do you do?
Absolutely. I would say if you're interested in expanding the revenue streams on your operation, this is something to look at. Look at other options, do what's a fit for you. But what our dealers have found is that this is a really, really good fit for them because it's very complementary. Our sales season is through the winter, and so we can hit the ground really hard in the winter with opportunity meetings, with our 2-day fundamentals of agronomy series that we can tie into that with. We do a lot of webinars. We can provide a lot of resources and a lot of opportunities for them to grow their business in the winter months. And then I understand that in April, you're going back home to plant corn, and you should be doing that. So this really is meant to be a complement to someone's farming operation and really just give them the stability and the security to feel confident about the revenue in their farming business. Because at the end of the day, farming is a passion and it is still a business. And so we have to run our farms as businesses. And part of that is looking at how many revenue streams can I add to my business. That's just a good business principle. Diversifying your revenue streams, creating more income. We're in business to make money, so that means we need revenue. And this is a way to add a line of revenue to what you're doing. And I'll steal the phrase that one of our good friends and clients and dealers, Mason, shared at our meeting last week. I get paid to brag about my crops. That's essentially what it is you get paid to brag about your crops. And my job is to essentially just help people get out of their own way. Just, I'm a pretty direct person with our dealers, so I'll just speak that same way now. Our dealers know I pretty much just call it how I see it. But a lot of the times, the thing that holds people back, holds farmers back from working with our dealer team and joining as a dealer is, well, other people could do that, but that wouldn't work for me. I believe that Rod did that, but I don't think that there's any way that Kayla could do that. That wouldn't work for my farm. That wouldn't work for my family. And I'm here to say, hey, yeah, you won't. There's only one Rod in the world. Praise the Lord. No, I'm kidding. There's only one Rod in the world. But what could it look like for you to do this? Not that you have to follow the exact same blueprint that Rod did, but how can we take this and use it to benefit your farm and your family? And so every business that our dealer has is different. It's customizable. They don't look the same, but they do look like an addition to their business in the form of a line of revenue. And so I'm just here to say, hey, get rid of the excuses. Let's figure out how to make this work for you.
And you've triggered about 3 thoughts in me. Number one, this is not for everybody, and that's okay. We're not here to convince anybody of anything. However, I will say that anyone can do this. And I get people and they say, I'm not a salesman. How many people at the meeting last Tuesday said, I'm not a salesman? And that was the part that was holding them back. And honestly, what I tell everybody is, I want you to go back to first grade. And I want you to remember when your mom brought your puppy in, or your mom, or you brought a pet rock or your pet turtle or whatever it was, and you were so excited to play show and tell because it was your day. That's what Mason does. Mason plays show and tell as well as anybody I know. Sam plays show and tell as well as anybody I know. Andy, Chris, Charles, Preston, we just got so many people that are really good at playing show and tell. And that's what makes this thing go. So I don't want the fact that sales bothers you, because that's really not what we're doing. As a matter of fact, we purposefully try to avoid the really good salesmen. Those guys don't seem to flourish here. Go ahead.
Well, and think about what I said when someone asks me what I do. I help farmers start and scale their business. I could also say, well, I get to lead a team of sales reps, but that's not what our team is. Our team is not a team of sales reps. All of them are farmers. Every single person who was there last week has their own farm at home that they went back to when they left our meeting. That's part of what I love, is that we're not trying to be the slickest in the business. I'm not teaching one-liner sales zingers. I'm truly just helping farmers grow their business.